2 wars, 3 wars, 10 wars, 1,000 wars, rumors of wars. Well, President Joseph Biden and Secretary of Treasury, former Fed chairwoman Janet Yellen, said that, come on, man, we can afford more wars. Just last night, Uncle Joe got up there, told us how we need 100 billion, billions, way more currency printing to go to Ukraine. Somehow Ukraine got roped into this Israel-Hamas situation. So if it tells you more about what's going on, then we talked a lot about 5% yield, the 5% interest rate on the 10-year Treasury, the most since 06, I believe now, 06, 07. And that's just going to continue. Mass chaos in the bond market, the credit market, which is the biggest market in the world, which drives everything, as we've talked about many times here as well. You can go back and look at all our past videos talking about the trifecta, oil and the DXY, the dollar relative strength, and the 10-year Treasury. Those things drive the world. Nothing else. The equity market, stock market, that has nothing really to do with how the world works. So the media tries to suck you into those little games, those distractions, but Joe's here telling you, Janet Yellen just meeting with Christine Lagarde and saying, oh, we're so lucky, we're so amazing, we get to work together. And they're gonna distract you with all kinds of shell games to do anything they can to print more currency. Because at the end of the day, this is all about printing more currency, sucking the wealth, starving people around the world, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, starving them so that the way the people at the top can take the power. These are not my words. Again, for the people in Rio Linda, as Rush Limbaugh used to say, read the Communist Manifesto, read The Great Narrative, The Great Reset, read Tragedy and Hope, read The Conspirators' Hierarchy, read the Committee of 300, read the books, read what they're saying, read what Klaus Schwab, what Noral Harari, all these actors are saying. Take them at their word. Believe them. Believe what they are saying. They are saying it for a reason. They want to control everything. This is not hard to understand if you do 5, 10, 20 minutes of work and studying and saying, wow, these people really do want to control everything in my life. So Biden came out and gave a speech yesterday. He's talking about how these things are going to happen and we're going to need more currency. And it's a sell. It's a sell job. It's a pitch to try to get it's great. It's great that he's supporting, I find it fascinating. It's great that he's supporting Israel. And, the moral equivalency is really mind-blowing. You have people, again, the brainwashing centers here, the government education, public universities, and children's school here in America, brainwashing people into supporting Palestine or, Hamas. And, the innocent people involved here and children, all babies matter. All these lives matter. And the moral equivalency made for a group like Hamas or terrorist organizations to what Israel is doing is mind-blowing to me. Absolutely mind-blowing. People coming in and doing the most heinous acts to Israeli civilians and to babies, to women, and brutalizing, savaging them, murdering them, torturing them, that is somehow equivalent to Israel defending itself. And this is not to get into this, but it has to be said. It has to be said here. And to somehow lump what's going on there into like, oh yeah, Ukraine and Russia. But at the same time, someone like Joe Biden or someone like many people in the streets you see for Palestine or free Palestine, they're the same people saying we need, with Ukraine flags in their profiles online. It's okay for Ukraine to defend itself, but it's not okay for Israel to defend itself. I find that fascinating. And again, we're going to question everything with boldness here. We're going to question, and throw out questions to you to say, anyone see anything wrong here? Anyone see anything? What's going on? But again, we're here for it. We're here for the wars. Apparently, we're going to sit here and be all for the wars. We didn't learn anything from the last 20 years. The absolute disaster that was, pulling out of Afghanistan. It was brutal under Biden, getting into a war in Ukraine and with Russia. Good job, Biden. And now getting into another one. And this is an emotional time, and it's hard to talk about these things right now because emotions are very high, and we need calm heads. We need people using their common sense, their higher faculties to really find a good solution here, because there are not many good solutions. And people have the right to protect themselves. This could be a turning point, though, so we have to be very careful. Everyone has to be careful. People need to protect themselves and defend themselves. America must be careful, though. America is in this position, though, and I think that's what the broader story is. The Band-Aids and the bullet holes. We have to stop getting ourselves into these positions. We have to stop running with a broken currency that allows these things to perpetuate and these things to happen. This is how this happens. If Joe Biden or any administration wanted to get into another war, if you had a hard money, you would have to come to the people and say, hey, we're going to get into this other war now. What do you think? Or we're going to tax you more to do it. And then the people get to vote with their wallet, with their voice, and say, no, that ain't happening. And these things de-escalate on their own. These things never even get a chance to happen because people around the world, like the IMF, the World Bank, they go out and Conventions of an Economic Hitman. Go read the books. Again, these are not my words. These are all laid out in books over the decades, over the centuries of how this is happening. And we're just not taught these things in school, and government-run schools, purposely, obviously, because that's how the wealth is transferred from family to family. At the top is this central banking mechanism, the broken monetary system. This is the fiat. This is how it's transferred. War, generally, a lot of times, is how it's transferred. And until we understand that, it's going to be very hard to understand what is going on in the world. But again, if you had hard money, you would have to have this going to the citizen moment and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. Do you support this? And people are generally going to say no. Get us the F out of here. And these things would not escalate on their own. They would just tend to resolve themselves on their own. And if people actually had to have wealth saved up or things to saved up, they'd be very judicious and very smart about, am I going to go to war or not? Because I only have so much money. So this better be the most important thing in the world for me to, whether to defend yourself or whatever it might be, it's going to be the most important thing. It's not just going to be this frivolous thing where we're just throwing stuff at Taiwan or we're just throwing stuff at Ukraine. Israel, the Hamas thing, it's a bit different there because, again, Israel being attacked, a terrorist attack, and this constantly happening to them, that's a little different. Now, you can get into the weeds with many issues going on there over the years, and you can question and call into question how those events came about. But again, you have things like Afghanistan, things like Ukraine, and you have to question so many of those things. So, moral of the story is be on guard. The hospital story in Gaza, again, another great example of media and trying to get you to emotionally, the sensationalism, the emotion, and just trying to get people to, and I saw people on both sides completely wrong and just looking like absolute fools. It looks like, again, I'm not there to confirm what's going on. It looks like the whole thing was, hoax in essence, kind of typical Hamas propaganda. The media runs with it because they want to do something anti-Israel, whatever. And then you got a lot of people running with it, really on both sides, saying, oh, look, the Israelis did this, and eating a lot of crow, looking really brutal in the process. So be careful. My point of all this is be careful. When emotions go up, intelligence goes down. So we have to step back. When bad things happen in life, unfortunately, it's terrible. It's a fact of life. But we have to use judgment and reason and our intuition, our higher faculties given to us by God. Those 6 higher faculties, perception, will, reason, imagination, intuition, memory, using those to understand what's going on and to make decisions going forward. I appreciate you. I know, in truth, we don't have more money or blood to spare or life to spare going into more wars. Joe thinks we do. Janet Yellen thinks we do because they're academics. They're politicians. They're crooks. They're crooked, and they're going to do whatever it is best for them and their family and to usurp more power and the people above them. That's the world we live in until we understand that. I meet so many people that, I just can't understand that people actually want to have my best interest at heart that are our leaders. Well, get used to it. That's the story of history. That's the story of politics. Jesus knew it. Talked about it in the Bible. And how we are still doing this in 2023. That's the real question. It's 2023, man. How are we still doing this? How are we still getting into these messes this far down the line? Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's learn from our history. The history that's not taught in government-run schools anymore. Let's learn it on our own. Let's be our own beacon of hope for others. It's contagious. I appreciate you. Please share this out. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. Trust what I'm saying, but verify. Verify it. Question everything with boldness. Like I said, please share it out. The algorithm hates truth. So please share this out overall in the system. Appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. And this is not financial advice. It is freedom advice. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.